Time's up, I done touchdown. I'm high stepping for the touchdown. I stay repping for the slums where the young bucks started loaded up.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the AFC South Fan Battle Podcast. I am your host, Samantha Wernet. Introducing our commentators for this evening. For the Texans, we have Matt Briggs.
What up? Let's do it.
For the Colts, we have Harish Nookala.
Welcome to the hospital where things are going great.
Nice. Two eyes back. Hurt. For the Jaguars, we have Justin Gunsaulus.
Hello.
You sound happy today.
Hello, Chipper there.
Yeah.
And we actually have two Titans commentators for this evening because of our special guest, who I'll announce in a moment. We have Jon Ha.
There it is. This is a good night. Two Titans people instead of just me just getting piled on by a bunch of people. I got some backup.
There you go. It's like good cop, bad cop tonight. And also we have DC Hall joining us.
Tighten up all day, every day, back for the third time. Happy to be back as always. Let's get it.
And introducing our special guest, he's a 2006 national champion, two-time Pro Bowler, analyst for the Longhorn Network, cupcake aficionado, and former safety for the Longhorns and Titans, Mr. Michael Griffin. How are you doing this evening?
How are y'all doing? I'm doing great. Just enjoying my late night cap beverage.
Sounds delicious. You're going to make sure you drink it really fast. You're going to need it for this show. Well, to start, welcome and thank you. You are our first Titans player that we've had on here. And it's an honor to have you out of all of them since you played there for so long. I'm really excited to get your input. We have lots of questions from the group and a few of the commentators who couldn't be here this evening. Well, John, go ahead and start us off with the real questions. What you got for them?
Look, this is just a fun time. I like it. See, I mean, we were talking, while you were with the Titans, there's some dark times, you're a bright spot of the dark ages, but I have a lot of like nostalgia for like your time with the Titans. That 2008 team was so fun for me. Like I followed you guys so closely that year and it was so much fun. I just want to know, give us like a good story from that 2008 season. My favorite, of course, was that Pittsburgh game because nobody thought you guys were going to win against Pittsburgh going in. And you guys, not only you won, but you really, really, really took it to them. It was a great defensive performance. You got any good stories from that year? Obviously, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but you guys were just unstoppable, it felt like.
Man, it was funny because if you just knew, the team. Like, of course, Coach Fisher was our coach. He's a former player. He was a player's coach. And so just the way he operated, it was you see guys will come to practice literally with like flats, like no cleats, no nothing. Like Keith Bullock would like do 7-on-7. This is how I realized how good Keith Bullock really was.
Wow, Keith.
He would literally do 7-on-7 and he would just point to like in the middle of the thing, like, hey, I'm gonna be right here. You're like, what? They're complete passes all day in practice, but he would just say in the game, I'm going to be right here or I'm going to be right there. And so the whole 7-on-7 period would be like pointless because you'd be like, we're really not practicing because Keith Bullock would just not move. He would just point. But when the game came, he would say, hey, Griff, I'm going to be here. I need you to be right here. And hey,
just running point.
I'm going to take the first window. The ball should come to the second window. You get your pick. And it was just little things like that, just the way how our defense just operated. And it was like, we just had a mindset, like we were only going to give up like once, like we was like the number one defense. We was not giving up points. That was like our main goal. And I remember we was playing the Houston Texans and we were, it was the game before Pittsburgh. And Coach Schwartz told us, allow Houston to score so we can give our offense the ball back to try to go down and win the game. And we all looked at Schwartz and was like, who gonna let who score? If y'all don't let them score, we're going to lose this game. And then we got to play Pittsburgh for the AFC Championship, for the seed. And we were like, and your point is what? And so we didn't let them score. And so we ended up losing that game. We played Pittsburgh the next week, and we took them on like toe to toe, and we ended up winning that game. Unfortunately, I guess we stepped on a terrible towel, and I guess that's what started our dark ages.
Yeah, we ain't superstitious that way.
But again, I mean, it was just, we just had a different mindset. It was like each and every day in practice, it was like game way. We just really embraced it. And I mean, Kyle Van Der Bosch.
Is he as crazy as it seems?
You know what? He had one speed and one speed on. He played the same way. Tony Brown, who was an undersized defensive tackle, he used to wear his tall tees every day at practice. He was like comical. Of course, Cortland Finnegan, you know him. I mean, it's self-explanatory for him. But Chris Hope, Nick Harper, all those guys, I mean, it was just a great opportunity to be able to play on that defense. And me and Court being the two young guys on the team and being able to play with those guys, it was a great opportunity. Then the next year, it just seems like everybody got paid, went to other teams, and from there it was rebuilding. And it got ugly from that point. Very ugly.
Well, DC, hold on. Let me stop real quick. I'll edit this part out. But if I keep stepping away, it's because my child knows when we do podcasts. So she keeps crying and I'll walk in there and she'll get quiet. And then I come back and she cries again and I go. So excuse me. All right. On that note, DC, do you have any questions for Michael?
Yes, I do. I have two quick questions regarding your pro career. So one thing I love about football is fantasy, right? And another thing I like about football as well is the fact that, all pro selections they're very important and they hold high standard within football. Samantha mentioned that you were a 2-time Pro Bowler, but she forgot to mention that you were a 1-time All-Pro. How did you feel when you won that selection? And I wasn't trying to, slight you, Samantha.
Don't lie, you were.
She's used to it. It's all right.
To be honest with you, I mean, it's an honor, man. And when you get voted as All-Pro, you get voted as a Pro Bowler or whatever. That's just the respect that you get from your peers. And I mean, it's a blessing, man. It's just so many different blessings when it comes to playing the game of football. A lot of people are playing their preseason games, just left college, and that season might not win as planned, especially with the whole COVID thing going on. And then you get this opportunity to play 3 preseason games, and it may be a lot of young men's last opportunities to be able to step foot on the football field. And despite everything that's going on in the world today, and so just to be able to step foot on the field, it was a blessing. The accolades that came with it, it was still a blessing. And at the same time, you don't achieve those goals. You don't achieve those accolades without your teammates. Step foot on the field. And so I say that to say that even though I was voted a All-Pro, or even though I was voted Pro Bowls at the same time, it was all credit due to the team. Those are team accolades still, even though it looks like they're individual awards. It's still team awards because it all works collectively together. If the front 4 ain't getting pressure on the quarterback, if the linebackers are not stopping the run, it doesn't give me an opportunity to play in the back half and get interceptions and play the pass, And so if you look early in the career and earning accolades and things as a team, you look later on when things weren't working right collectively, when the defense, when collectively we couldn't get the job done, whether it was stopping the run, stopping the pass, or whatever, you see how those accolades and things disappear. So, we all took part of that, all 11 of us, whoever's on that football field. So, it was a blessing and it's an honor to have those awards. But at the same time, despite the fact individually you have an individual name there, it's still a team award. You have guys such as, you look at the 100 top players that got, voted by players or whoever voted. When you got Travis Kelce in the top 10, when you got, Patrick Mahomes in the top 10, Mahomes is not doing those things unless Tyreek Hill and, Sammy Watkins or whoever it may be, Kelce, those guys are catching the ball. You're not getting those accolades. People are dropping balls. You're not getting those things. And then vice versa. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, if you don't have somebody blocking up front, you don't have the running back core and things like that able to get the ball off. Those things are not happening. So those are all team. To me, whatever awards you get when it comes to being a part of a team, those are team awards. So it's a blessing by all means. And I would say that I was able to accomplish those things based off the fact that, hold on, I'm sorry. I think I got something messed up a little bit. Hold on, can y'all still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. It's me. But I wasn't being able to accomplish those awards unless it was, for my teammates and things in that nature. So that's how I look at those type of things.
Great, very insightful, man. And my second question, right?
Okay.
You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but
that's how every good question starts like that.
This was more the hardball question, right? So you were around when Vince Young was around at that time.
Correct.
Right? And I was a huge Vince Young fan. And to me, he was like the first option quarterback before there was an option quarterback in today's NFL like there is now. Uh-huh. So what was Vince Young tendencies like? Like, was the whole thing about him going to Cheesecake Factory and missing flights true? Like, what was all of this? I gotta know.
Be careful, Michael.
I gotta know.
Be careful.
When I was asking the first question, it was out of nervousness.
You know what? I would say this, and to be honest, ain't nobody perfect. We all make mistakes, and the thing that I also say is that let's just be 100% honest. You're 21, 22 years old, and they give you $1 million. Think about yourself. I don't know how old you are right now. Like, I'm 36. How?
I'm 31. But at the time when Vince Young was
31.
I was a team.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
10 years ago.
21, 22 years old. I give you $30 million, $40, $50 million. How you acting?
I'm going to go crazy.
I'm going to go get massages.
Crazy.
I was about to say the same thing.
The sky's the limit. I mean, and it's wasn't nobody perfect. I mean, we live by a creed. So,
Well, let me ask you that to elaborate on that, just like from an opinion standpoint. We actually talked about this a few episodes ago. Do you think, or does anybody even care to kind of bring in advisors for these young guys to kind of be like?
I think you do. Truthfully, I would say I think you do. You got, but you can't bring just anybody. You got to bring people that's been down that path that can.
Right. Yeah, like to even have like a core.
I can't have Joe Blow, who has a degree in psychology or whatever, and say, hey, come on, you're going to talk to me. No, you can't talk to me about what I'm going through and what I've been through and what it takes for me to get here. You don't know how I feel. You don't know what it's like getting up every day and I check my phone and it's mom, dad, brother, cousin, homeboy, or whatever it is, reaching out to me, talking about, hey, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. Can you help me?
Right. So there's actually a player on the Jaguars, and I won't name the specific person who it is because I don't think it's public knowledge. But I've heard that they are going through that specific thing with money.
I would say it is, and I'm willing to talk about this. So the same year I made it to the Pro Bowl, my first year, people didn't realize that every Friday I was flying to Texas because I was going to court because I'm fighting with my son's mother just to be a father, and I'm paying all this money in court. Right. But no one knows that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I fly down there Friday. I miss practicing everything on Friday. The entire year, the year we beat 7 interceptions and everything else. Every Friday, I was flying to Texas, and people didn't know this. And that's why I'm so gratitude and grateful for Coach Fisher. But I was flying, and I'm not saying, hey, pity me or poor me or whatever, but I was blessed to be able to do it and things of that nature because I know people that are trying to be fathers and don't have the financial means to do these type of things. But I'm literally, thank God I had a coach that's like, hey, go do what you got to do, whatever, but make sure you back before the game.
Right.
So I heard Fisher was a lot like that. He was really, really generous for the players. And he was really understanding of a lot of the things they went through.
And I think to have somebody to come in.
Terrible.
I think to have somebody to come in that was a player and say look, don't blow all your money.
It is because again, it's like I'm literally flying again. I'm flying every Friday to go to Texas to go to court, and then the judge is like, hey, you got to come back, or we need to continue. So we need something X, Y, and Z. And then I fly back, and then I check into the hotel Saturday night, really frustrated and upset or whatever it is. And then you go into the game, hey, turn all that off.
Time to play.
and you got to play a football game and lay it all on line for the other 52 players on your team. And then, win or lose, you still got to deal with X, Y, and Z. So I say that to say, I remember when I did my intern coaching, I remember during the middle of training camp, I remember a young gentleman who's already lost his mother or his father in the middle of training camp. He lost the next one. And he's there like, hey, it's okay to leave. He's like, no, I'm undrafted. I got to try to make this team. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, I remember even during the whole, and a real good friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name, but I remember we were in the combine. He lost his mother. She got murdered at I think he was around 9 years old. And I remember his father had a heart attack right before he ran the 40. And they called him, hey, you can leave. And he said, to go to what? I don't have anything at home. And I say this to say that you build young men up from a young age.
I don't know. I have a special guest on, bro.
Go. I'm with you. But what I say is, you build us as young men from a very early age to not have any emotions and not to be normal. So I say that to say, a young man, 21, 22 years old, goes through so much stuff all his entire life. And then you hand him millions, and that money, he feels like all my prayers is answered. And now I'm able to get or do whatever I need to do to help all these people around me. And I really don't understand financial literacy because I see that check and I just...
And there's people that take advantage of that too.
Russell Wilson's girlfriend at the draft.
So
thought she had it.
And then you go back to now you got college players getting paid. I said, oh Lord, it's about to get even ugly.
Yeah. It's actually really sad. Like, it's almost like hey, we're going to, like, even if somebody was to come in and say, like, we'll give you all this, but we're going to set you up a trust or something.
I mean, think about it. What's the young man right now? I think, was it Charlotte Hornets or whatever? The wife or whatever that's divorcing him. He has to pay so much.
Washington.
Washington. Yeah.
Like, and everybody looking at him like, and then us in the locker room
all over
because we so macho man. We like, oh, he dumb. Like, nobody wants to sit there and have a real conversation. Like, bro, what are you really going through? Like,
Well, now I don't know if he did it when you were a player. But I did read that Eddie George has stepped up, and because he has lost a lot of money, kind of everything you've spoken about. And I've heard he has went to the draft before the combine and all that, talking to these young players to say, hey, look, you do got to set yourself up.
Man, listen, like, I tell you, like, people don't.
It's cool to see somebody do that,
Like what I did, right? So when I first came into the league, it was like, okay, let me look around and let me see who's doing everything the right way. And it was like, because I really felt like when I came in the league, any given Sunday was like real. Like, the movie I watched was like the truth. When I got to the Titans, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So, I was like, me and Chris Hope, I literally moved 2 houses next door to him because he was a starting safety. I'm like, I'm going to learn the game from him because I knew he won a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I moved 2 houses next door to him. And then I realized, okay, you got to work out and take care of your body because he said, hey, your body's a multi-million-dollar industry. Like, you got to treat your body like a business. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So I started watching and following him on everything he was doing. And so I started figuring those things out. But, I say this to say that, when you're in a locker room, there's different tax brackets, like literally there's different tax brackets because people were like, why are you not hanging out with Vince Young? Then y'all go to college together? I'm like, listen, I was drafted number 19. He was, we in different tax brackets, Jack.
He's up in first class.
Like, no. And so the one thing that I learned was live a lifestyle that you can financially maintain if the game of football was taken away from you right now. Mm-hmm. So it was like, did I want to go buy all the Louis Vuitton and all the jewelry and all the cars? I was like, it looks great, but there's a difference between I want and I need. And so for me, it was like, all right, let's try to figure this out. I went and found car deals. Like, I'm driving cars for free. I'm not buying cars. Like, where am I going to go to enjoy a car at? Like, so jewelry, you ask me today, I still go shop at Claire's. I mean, you're going to automatically think it's real. Like, that's just what people think. Oh, that's Michael Griffin. That's real jewelry. Like, that's what I do.
Or if it's me, they go, that's Samantha Wernet. That's fake jewelry.
Yeah. So, and then it's like car-wise, like, okay, you know, the more expensive the car is, the more the oil change and everything else is going to cost. So for me, it's like, listen, I want to continue a lifestyle that I can financially maintain, but at the same time, I got 3 kids that I want to make sure that if I was to leave today, that they are financially stable. And if they was to have a family, they are financially stable, and just figure out generational wealth, because that's the one thing that we don't put ourselves in situations, because we get so fascinated with, like, especially right now with social media. Thank God it wasn't what it is today.
Listen, could you imagine being Zach Wilson right now and having your mom clout chase you on Instagram?
Listen,
can you imagine that locker room, that poor kid?
I can just imagine right now, LeBron James got drafted right now out of high school. His mom, you remember everything he dealt with. Like, his mom was supposedly messing around with the teammates and stuff.
Devontae West.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's what happened to his hairline.
Yeah.
That's what happened to his hairline.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice, yeah.
But can you imagine now on how that would have been?
Yeah.
Kanye West putting addresses to Drake out, like, on social media.
No, even better, he had the woman that Drake supposedly knocked up on the front porch of his Donda thing.
It doesn't even matter. Like, Reggie Bush married to Kanye West too. Like, I mean,
you know what's crazy? I think I forgot about that. I forgot about that until just now.
That's all. What I'm saying is, can y'all imagine if social media was back then? Like, think about it. Like, Kim Kardashian was dating Reggie Bush. From Reggie Bush, she had the show with Humphreys, the basketball player, which I went to school with his sister. She went to Texas. She was a diver. But if we had social media back then, we all probably would have been clowning her. Like, dude, what is wrong with your brother? Like, you need to get him out of the situation. Like,
on the run.
Think about it. And then you think about the Ray J. But literally, it's like, if you really think about it, if the social media was today back then, it would have been ugly.
It would have
been bad.
It definitely would have been really.
It would have been ugly. Like, half the stuff that's going on right now is like, it's only because of social media. Whatever you do, everybody got a phone like this, like, let me record.
100%.
Could you imagine Ray Lewis with social media back then? Oh, bro.
Oh, that would have been bad.
Like, literally, you go places, it's like weird. You even got like friends and stuff. Like, I tell like my friend, like, hey, bro, why you always got your phone up? What are you doing? Like, put your phone up.
It doesn't make it even,
Like, we're grown men. Can we live in the moment? What are we trying to relive it? Like, what are we doing?
Well, me and my colleagues at the NSA see it all, man. We see what
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, social media is like crazy. Like,
he's like, change the subject. I didn't realize he was an agent. No, we don't know what Jon Ha does for a living, so we're all convinced he works for the NSA because he also lives in Utah. So
it's right there.
Still trying to figure it out.
Next door.
Well, let me ask you.
How do you think we found you, Michael?
Yeah. I found him. Q on Twitter.
I thought it was social media.
Social media.
Yeah, see, if we did social media, we wouldn't have been able to find you, right? We just harass you until you say yes. You're like, fine, leave me alone. Quit tagging me. No,
just come in for cupcakes until you say yes.
Well, I'm gonna kind of combine these next two questions, and then we will take one from the group, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But Scott Barbine and Ray Cherry, they couldn't be with us tonight, so I kind of have a combo question from both of them. So Scott wanted to know what you think it would be like to play for this Titans regime as opposed to the one you played for, but then also to back on that, Ray Cherry also said, how special was that 20? God, Can't words. Sorry. How special was the 2008 defensive squad? And what do you think that this defense needs to do to be to that level? So they're kind of the both. Like, what's the difference in the two, and what can this team do to be like that?
If I would have said the difference in the teams, I would say this Titans team now,
it's a mirror image, I'd say.
The strengths, I would say different. The strengths is the offense. Because you have Derrick Henry, you still have two dynamic wide receivers, and you have a quarterback that people thought I was tripping when I was like, oh, y'all done gave Ryan Tannehill some weapons. Y'all are going to really see the real Ryan Tannehill. And people thought I was like, what do you mean? You seen him in Miami? I'm like,
can I make a confession real quick?
Go ahead and make your confession.
I drafted Ryan Tannehill today in fantasy.
Me too. I definitely did too.
You did a great job. But
me too.
I say that to say, I think the difference now is that when I was on that 08 team, even with Chris Johnson coming in as he was a rookie.
My guy. I love Chris Johnson.
The receiving core, you had Chris Johnson, you had Lindell White, you had, the 2018 was led by Kerry Collins, even though Vince Young was on the team. We go back to the Jaguars game.
Week 1.
And you had Algie Crumpler, who was on the back end of his career. And
Nate Washington, right?
Nate Washington wasn't there. Nate Washington, he's still mad at
Pittsburgh.
He was in Pittsburgh. So the receiving core, you asking me, I'm still trying to figure out who the
the thing is, 09, you got Nate Washington and Kenny Britt showed up, and then it's just like everyone forgets.
They showed up the year after.
Yeah, 09 was when they showed up.
So I think it was Justin Gage, if I'm not mistaken, and then it was
Bo Scaife. Was Bo Scaife there?
Bo Scaife was there, but like you remember, our offense wasn't we weren't putting a lot of points.
No, it was the Chris Johnson and Lindell White show. It was like a lot of our games was nail biters. I remember playing Baltimore. We went to Baltimore. The first Baltimore game.
We beat Baltimore there, and that was a rookie Joe Flacco. Mm-hmm. I remember we played. I mean, Cleveland and all those games was pretty easy, but just thinking about all those games, it was all like nail biters. Like it was all up to the defense to make plays. And I think now when you look at the Titans, you look at their offense, they are able to score at any given time.
And it's still nail biters.
It's still nail biters. And that's like you say, the mirror image because I think I'm excited to see how this young secondary and this young team, develops because right now the veteran group
is Caleb Farley gonna step up? He didn't look too good yesterday.
He got hurt. I mean, he's been out of football for a while now.
It's true.
You're going to get better. Plus, he's a rookie. You got to understand. The game he's literally each and every week, he's playing the best receiver every week. It's not like you play a game, you play Big 12, you play Kansas. I don't think I ever heard anybody outside of Khalid Talib or my man that's left the Broncos cornerback that's playing now for the Chargers.
Talib?
The Chargers.
Harris?
Yeah, Harris. Yeah.
Like those are two guys that ever came out of University of Kansas. You can't never name anybody as long as you think of it. So, when you look at him, he did a phenomenal job. I watched some when he played against Tampa. I mean, he's using a lot of raw talent. I think it's going to take time for him to develop to be a top tier corner. He has all the attributes, but it's just how bad do you really want it? But again, I think when you look at last year's team and you ask Kevin Byard to step up and be the leader of the defense and understand that you was missing the guys like Jarrell Casey, a Wesley Woodyard, a Derek Morgan,
Logan
Ryan. You had veterans at all tiers of the game. And then you ask younger guys who's never been in those positions to step up and to do those type of things. And so, I spoke to Kevin once here and there, and I'm like, listen, play your game. Don't try to start overcompensating and doing things that, you feel like you got to make up for things. And so with that being said, I think on the offensive side of the ball, you have a lot of firepower there. But at the same time, it's going to put a lot of stress on your defense because it's going to make an offense open up and say, hey, listen, we got to catch up. We got to throw the ball around the field. And so you got to have guys like Fulton who has to step up. And a lot of these young guys, Hooker, he's going to be the starter this year. So
how's the pass rush going to do?
Again, you got to have these guys. They got to, Landry, you got to get after the quarterback. You got to see my man who came from Pittsburgh. You got to see what he's going to do coming off the edge. So guys are going to have to start stepping up. And this is what I remember on the secondary and on the defense side of the ball. That's what happened to us, I remember. And it was weird because a guy like Sindari Marks, who we drafted, he left us and went to Jacksonville, Samantha, and ended up having a hell of a career. But we were looking for that same guy in Tennessee. Even a guy like Jason Jones, who left us, who career games is always against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he left us and still ended up having a good career despite some injuries. So you're going to have these younger guys. They're going to have to step up. Evans, all these guys are going to have to step up.
Jayon Brown, which he's a Zach Brown to me. He's just similar to Zach Brown. Very athletic, very talented, but he has to take it to the next level. And it's weird because Zach Brown left and went to the Pro Bowl after he left the Titans. And so you realize these guys are definitely capable of being great players. They just got to somehow, some way together, collectively work together as a team and go out there and achieve and get the job done. So when we say the mirror image, I think back then in 2008, the defense was the part of the team that led and the offense followed. Now you got the offense that's intact and the defense is falling, but if the defense can match the intensity of the offense, they can definitely be a really, really good football team.
Kind of like the Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl.
Exactly. I mean, it was like later on in the season, you remember the Chiefs started kind of slowing down, and then all of a sudden, defense picked it up.
Exactly.
And so that's what has to happen. Even if you look at Tampa Bay, that young defense started, especially in that back half, them young boys started stepping it up. Winfield Jr., his game elevated, and they got upset and threw him the flag. Hey, you earned it. You got a Super Bowl ring. Tyreek Hill threw him the peace sign early in the season. He threw him the peace sign right back after he got an interception. But that's what has to happen is the whatever team is doing a phenomenal job and leading the team, the other team, part of the team has to step it up and match their intensity. And that's the only way you could be a dynamic team that can make it to the Super Bowl and win it.
That must have been what happened to the 2017 Jaguars. Only the defense was stepping it up, right, Justin?
Talking about the 27?
2017 Jaguars.
2007 Jaguars now. I remember them.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, it was the same combo. Beat the Steelers, lose to the Patriots.
I remember them 2007. David Garrard. Y'all had Reggie.
Yeah. Actually, I just ran into David Garrard at a scrimmage game that we had, and he was with his family. I wanted to be like, oh my God, David Garrard, let me take a picture. But he was with his kids. So I wanted to be. And I just walked up to him and I was like, hi, David. You're my Trevor Lawrence. Okay, bye.
Wow.
He was like, oh, thank you. Hey.
Somebody remembers me.
Yeah. Somebody recognized me. Hi. I'm like, yes. Hello. Anyways, we'll wrap it up with this last question and then y'all talk about and wrapping up preseason, what do you predict this year's Titans to go? And also segue that into telling us, where do we find you on social media and what are you doing now?
Well, of course, Mike Griff 33 is social media and what I'm doing now, Longhorn Network. Start next week. Hopefully the Texas Longhorns don't disappoint me.
Right.
They don't disappoint. It's expected as of. But of course, we own Gigi's Cupcakes, and me and Brian Arakpo, another Titan, and another one of our business partners, Brian Henson. We some things on Food Network and things like that. Maybe something on CBS is coming up, a reality TV show. We'll see what happens from there.
Oh, what is that? Hold on, please.
We'll see.
As the female of the group, can you let me know? Can you slide that into the podcast DMs?
Yes, I will slide that in the podcast.
Yes,
Does it revolve around football players?
You know, you acting like you single. I saw a ring on the left finger.
I'm not. I'm just curious. I love.
He's always looking to upgrade the roster.
My favorite things in life are football and reality TV.
Don't say you for the streets now.
No, I'm not. I'm from the ponds. Okay.
Streets will get you in trouble now.
No, I love football and I love reality TV, so I want to know more.
Her husband know who she married.
Hey,
That's true.
Let me
That
stop my wife coming here and look at me to who you in there flirting with. But anyways, yeah.
Oh, this dude on this podcast. You're like, what?
Yeah. Oh, hey, strictly woman. Now here we go.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I gotta try to sleep in my bed tonight. All right, but
I know you're gonna walk in there. She's gonna punch you in the back of the head.
She ain't gonna go for a Titan. It ain't gonna happen.
She's 5'11", so we about the same height. So I don't want to fight her. But yeah. So we got that going on, and man, I really think the Titans could do some great things this year. I think they should win the AFC South. Of course, the tough opponent.
Yeah,
is the Colts for some odd reason. It's the Colts.
Always, baby.
And it's always the Colts in Indianapolis. Always. I don't know what it is. I think it's the turf. Everybody's mad.
We just beat them 2 years in a row there.
It's funny because the Colts can't beat the Jaguars at home, but you know.
But it's just something about going up there. I mean, and unfortunately, from a man, you know, well, I think the Colts helped us out this year when they you know, y'all traded for a quarterback who, you know, can't really stay healthy as much. But
be careful, Michael. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful now. Hold on.
Then I gotta be upset with y'all because then he didn't rubbed off on my guy Sam from Texas. So
I wanted to talk to you about that.
He didn't rub off on my guy Sam.
Hey.
Hey, listen, we got Mike Griff for the rest of the podcast, so let's go ahead and segue in.
Go ahead, ask what you got to ask.
Go ahead and segue into the Colts and the preseason game and what we got going on with the Colts, and you can go ahead and ask Mike your question before we hit up the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, so preseason game 3. Jacob, you know what? We're kind of looking at the backup situation here, right? Jacob looked good. People give Jacob a lot of crap, but you got to understand Jacob's working with 2s and 3s and 4s. I thought it was very efficient. My one big problem with Jacob is he has one type of speed when he throws the ball. And that type of speed, you know, it's an adjustment he's going to make. I think overall, both, you know, Sam had that amazing throw to Patman. After escaping the pocket and avoiding his sack, and unfortunately turned into an ACL sprain is what they're calling it. The secondary is scaring me right now as far as the backups go. Just guys not being in their spots. The pass rush is getting where it needs to go, but I'm sure those are things will sure up. You know, Rocket Sin is slowly starting to give me some worries, but I mean, Michael talked about it earlier. Playing secondary in the NFL is a different beast, right? It's not easy. It's an adjustment. But yeah, I mean, we'll go into week 1. Carson is supposed to be in a practice full participant tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. As far as my question for Michael, obviously I'm going to go back to the Longhorn days.
Can I ask you one before you ask him a question real quick? Yeah. With the recent injury, does TY retire this year?
I don't know, man.
Come on, it's time. It's time.
He might be forced to.
Yeah,
depending on how neck and back at 31, he might not have a choice.
I mean, you know, literally with the neck injury, the neck and the back is like 2 injuries that there's really nothing you can do. The game of football, you got a helmet on, your neck, your back. I mean, literally, my last year, I herniated a disc in my back, and it was like, man, this is over. And even to this day, it's like every morning I wake up and it's like I got to warm up just to get moving.
Yeah,
that's what happened to JJ Watt's career after his back. He's never been the same.
Like it's out when I tell you, it's like when that left leg go numb and you over here trying to think like, all right, let me, you know, the something that you think naturally you just start walking, you got to think like, all right, pick this left leg up. Like
That's brutal.
Like again, I'm 36 years old. I retired going on almost 5 years ago. So I'm 32 years old walking around here like, whew, trying to figure this out. And then I played my last year with Carolina with a herniated disc, and every hit I made, I'm like, please don't have me laying on this field trying to get back up.
Oh no.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean,
it's tough at that age, so.
I mean, it's tough. Think about trying to go use the restroom number 2 and you sitting there and you can't bend over because your back's locked up. It's like, good luck.
Yeah.
The other day.
Damn.
Mine does that not because of my athleticism, because of my lack thereof.
Oh, sorry for him. Sorry for him.
Hey, you're just as old as me, okay? The problem is it's caught up to you faster than it's caught up to me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
We're on the same level now. You can still outrun me. I can't.
Like there we go.
All right, go ahead, Harish. Ask him a question.
Yeah, so my question is, I mean, obviously the struggles of Texas are known, but how does it make you feel to see players be successful in their NFL careers? Guys like Sam, Tariq Black is playing well, Colin Johnson, they're making NFL rosters. It makes me think as a fan. When
I look at Sam, and the thing is, I always said, even covering him, with Longhorn Network, it's like, is he a complete quarterback? I don't think he had the coaching to develop him to be a complete quarterback. I am very surprised and pleased to see how well he's playing and using his arm compared to using his legs. Yep. The one thing we always say was he's a modern day Tim Tebow when he played college football because he threw his body on the line. But the one thing that we said was at that next level, that's not going to fly. Like people are going to match that physical, that intensity. People are going to match that. Like no one's scared of you. They're going to hit you. So, very surprising. You can see like the way he's throwing the ball, throwing things on time or whatever. And the thing that you would definitely love about Sam, and if you know his history with his father passing away, his brother just passed away very recently, and just the way that he operates and he puts it all on the line for his team. There were some games last year that you're like, Texas is out of it, and you just realize they're not. Texas should be out of it, but because you had Sam as your quarterback, you realize that you still had a chance. Some way, somehow, he was going to do something crazy, and so I felt bad to see the injury and realize he's out for the next couple of weeks or whatnot. But thank God it's not a season-ending injury. Yeah. But I think he would have the same kind of career as a Colt McCoy, if not better. And as you notice, and I say that to say that Colt McCoy has had some opportunities to start from Cleveland Browns early in his career, but he's also came back and became a backup for RG3 and those guys in Washington.
He's a backup now, yeah.
And then he's been a backup at a lot of different teams that he's been with. And so you realize that you got a guy on your team that can win you some football games if you need to have him fill in for a couple of games, 1, 2, maybe 3 games or whatnot. So I think Sam definitely has, and then also you look at like a guy like Chase Daniels, who made a very good career. Same guy, very mobile, not your ideal 6'4", 6'5" quarterback, but a guy that's very mobile enough that can get you through some games and things of that nature. So I think y'all are very, very, to be honest, very, very lucky to have him on y'all's team, because I feel like he is a guy, if Carson Wentz does go down, he's a guy that trust me, you're going to love to have this guy on your team. Because
you hear that, Harish? He said when Wentz goes down. He didn't say if, he said when.
I said if. I already know I'm going to love I don't wish no injury. I don't wish no injuries on anybody. But if he goes down, I promise you, Sam is a guy that the fans are going to love. Because when I tell you, University, like, and we used to say this, he never won a Big 12 championship. He has no accolades or anything from Texas, but they still put him on the pedestal with Colt McCoy and Vince Young. And we're like, why? Like, why?
You got to think about Michael, man. We went through so many tough times. The Garrett Gilbert years. We went through the Justin, the Hurd years. It was rough. And when Sam came in during that USC game, his freshman year, won us that game. You give the fan base hope.
Yes, I get that. And that's what I said. It's like you give him because you knew he was willing to do anything.
Yep.
You realize, and he would take all the blame. He has no problem. Like that blame. Like I lost that game. You're like, dude, he just took it away from the whole team. Like the whole team sucked, and he just said, "It's on me. I gotta prepare the rest of the team to be ready to play." And that's just his mindset.
Did he take that playbook out of Bill O'Brien's playbook?
Yeah.
I don't know where he took it, but when I tell you, it doesn't matter. Like if he played for Tennessee, if he played for the Houston Texans, whatever, it doesn't matter where he goes. Like the fans are going to love him because he's just that type.
Just a likable guy. Yeah.
He's just he's the teammate. His teammates are going to love him. Everybody's going to love him just because he's a guy that'll do whatever it is to win for the team. Like he does not care. Like does not care.
Well,
I agree. But to finish my question, how does it feel to still see the talent coming into the NFL and finding some success? And does that make you think that coaching and developing is the problem at Texas?
Dude, it sucks because I got to watch this stuff every week. What you mean? Like I got to cover.
I watch it with you, man.
Hey, that's how it feels to be a Jaguars fan, by the way.
Like literally, I got to watch this on Longhorn Network 24/7. Like I got to do a 2-hour pregame and I got to watch the whole game and talk about it. You think it makes me feel better that they go to the lead and do something better? Like no,
it sucks, man.
It's like for instance, I see a Deshaun Elliott who was up for the Thorpe Award and didn't win it, right? And then he goes to Baltimore and Earl Thomas, gets the boot and he's in the game and all of a sudden it's like
it's the greatest thing you've ever seen.
I see a player. I see this player that I'm like, ooh, this dude got drafted. This guy's pretty good. Like you're like, damn. You see like a Quandre Diggs, and it's like he's playing with Detroit. He's a nickel, and then all of a sudden he moves to safety, and then now he's in Seattle, and you're like, this dude is running the alley and like putting people night. Like.
People night.
And then you see a guy, Chris Boyd, like we got an inside joke. Like we say, you invite him to the party. Like you. So you see a guy like Chris Boyd, who, if you remember, if you're a Texas fan, he gets suspended for the whole first half versus the Oklahoma State, and then next thing you know, this dude is starting for the Minnesota Vikings. Like we were like. It really pisses you off because you're like, why is there so much talent that's able to go to the next level
and not being produced?
Great. And not doing shit here.
Right. It takes graduating.
It's that incentive. It's that incentive contract. That's what does it.
Damn, they got this whole NIL thing going on. I hope it boosted up a little bit of something. Hopefully. But right now, it's like that stuff is frustrating. Like you're like, how do you got so much talent?
And you still suck.
Man, you suck. Like we legit, like literally, like we like,
so like, bad, man.
Like we get Sarkisian, great guy, I love him, but it's like, all right, Sarkisian, you had like 25 first rounders, even though there's only like 32 first round picks, but you had 25 first rounders on your team in Alabama. What are you gonna do with these guys on this team that is probably like not one first rounder over here, but somebody's gonna get drafted on this team and go to the league and gonna look great. You're gonna try to figure this out. Like, what's going on? Like, you don't know what's going on. So yes, it's very frustrating. Like, I'm proud that they get to have the opportunity to go to the next level and they do great things. But for 4 years at Texas, and I gotta talk about it, it's just like, what the hell? Like,
we'll find out Saturday. I'll be there. I'll be there bright and early in the morning. So
you going to the game Saturday?
I live in Austin, baby. I'll be here. I bought my ticket. I'm ready to go.
I hope it. I live in Austin. I hope and pray they don't lose this first game. I hope and pray this doesn't.
Wouldn't that be the biggest catastrophe? Oh Jesus!
Like I'm the type of person. I'm the type of person because like right now you hear that little ice and everything. I'm the type of person that like dreams for like some just chaotic stuff because it's like awesome. It's like last year when they lost to Iowa State, I was like, this is awesome. Like, or when like Keontae Ingram fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line, they lost to TCU. It was like, I can't wait to see how this goes. Like, this is so funny to me. Like, there's no way at TCU you should go like toe to toe with TCU. But then you go back and look at the record books, and it's like, oh, I get it. Out of the last 9 times y'all played TCU, y'all only beat them twice. Okay, cool. Like, y'all gonna lose again this year. Like, cool.
Well, you know what? That's actually a really good segue.
Tune in tomorrow for part 2 with Michael Griffin, talking about the Jaguars and Texans, plus more. See you then.